It's 3 in the morning and my tour starts now for Masada, En-Gedi and Dead Sea. It's gonna be a long day again, but I'm quite excited. First of all, we hike to Masada, then we go to En-Gedi, which is an oasis, and finally after that we go to the Dead Sea.
First, we are on our way to Masada. Now, the most interesting thing about Masada is its extremely rich history. It was built by King Herod of Judea in the 1st century BCE as a fort and palace due to its strategic location. But even after his death, this fortress was the last refuge of the Jewish rebels during the First Jewish-Roman War. After destroying Jerusalem, the Romans marched to Masada, and when defeat seemed inevitable for the Jewish rebels, they decided to commit mass suicide rather than fall into Roman hands.
So once again, nothing is visible in the camera, but we have started our climb. This is going to take about 50 minutes till the top, and yeah, I hope we are there in time for sunrise. Let's see.
The dirt that was brought into the lake after it dried is putting
There is the Dead Sea in the distance, and these are all formations from when there was water over here, but due to the movement of the tectonic plates, the Dead Sea got isolated and this place slowly dried up. What you see over here are remnants from some million years back, perhaps. Not very sure about the timeline. And yes, we continue to trek or hike. It's a very steep one, definitely. If you are not fit enough, perhaps try taking the cable car that you can see all the way from down there. I used to think that I'm quite fit, but now I'm questioning myself. We've already covered a lot of ground and we don't have much more, but yeah, that's gonna drain all the remaining energy out of me. You see what I meant when I said that the climb was like literally vertical? Oh, we've made it to the point where the cable car would take you. Out there in the distance, the trees that you see, that's where we came from. And oh, it's been a long way. And we are finally at the top. This ancient fortress built by King Herod. As you can see, the description over here. You might want to just pause and read this here. And wow, what a view. The climb was difficult, but the moon is still up and the sun is on its way up. So yes, we have reached here on time. Sun is about to rise in perhaps the next 15 minutes or so. Alright, so here's something interesting that I want to show you. If you can see this black line over here, right? This black line going all the way there. So anything below the black line is what is left of the original fortress, and anything above it is renovated or added. So what you see over here below are literally the stones or the stone wall from 2000 years back, from King Herod's time. I just had the opportunity to have some water, and now I feel much better because I didn't really get water with me. Perhaps that was very foolish. Please do get water with you whenever you are here. Okay, this happens to be the residence of the commandant. Interesting, these were where people lived. Damn. So it said that Herod built these magnificent, houses for the commanders because he really didn't trust anyone and wanted to keep everyone very, very happy, and hence he created these for them. I wonder who must have been sleeping here, eating here some 2000 years back. That's insane. And look at this wonderful, wonderful view of the Dead Sea. Alright, so I'm coming deeper into it. So once again, you see the black line over here. So anything below this is from the original fortress. You can see these rooms, pretty small by our standards, but quite historic. Perhaps that was some sort of a baking oven, and these walls well protected. I wonder if these are painted newly, or when these were painted, and if this is part of the original paint. But in any case, it's a very, very historic place. Nice view from here. Something very similar on this side. The black line everywhere. Alright, let's keep walking. So we are entering the main entrance square. You can see the view from here. We have more rooms out here. I wonder where the king used to live. Was it one of these rooms? I have no idea. I mean, completely a different era. I have no idea what sort of standards they held for themselves in terms of the living quarters. The fort extends on to that side. We'll try and get there. So this was the headquarters of the commander. So this is what it looked like back then. Makes sense. All these small rooms and quarters. Alright, so got some new information and pretty interesting. So what you see in front of me is, of course, after sunrise now, there's the Dead Sea, and on that side the mountains that you see is essentially Jordan. So that's Mount Moab in Jordan. So we are actually overlooking Jordan from here. This is the entire Masada Fortress, and here is a miniature version, a model of the entire fortress, what it looks like. The most outstanding part over here are these storage places, where they used to store all the food, and also a lot of cisterns and channels of water to hold water. Now, of course, the whole point of having a fortress over here was to ensure that even if there is some attack from from this side, from the eastern side, then you could stay here, you could hold up for as long as possible, and hence this long area of storage centers. And these are the ones, the storage centers. All of these long walls that you see across, I'll just show it to you from here. So this is where all of the food was stored. And on the other side, towards the south, you have the fortress of the king. So this over here is where the palace of the king, this is where the king used to live, which is on that side, on the south. So we'll go towards that side now. And yes, all of these paintings that we had seen earlier are actually frescoes, and these are actually from 2000 years back. So that's pretty interesting. Now let's continue our walk. Alright, so now we are inside the storage complex. All that you see on the left, all of these are individual storage complexes, and this is perhaps one of them, or perhaps the roadway through it. But yes, what you see over here on both sides are the storage complexes, beyond the wall. These are also the storage complexes. It's like a huge system of storage complexes. All of these, like you can see, long rooms and a lot of food stored over here. Do we see some artifacts from back then? Perhaps yes. I can see these clay pots, or whatever you call them. Oh. How can one survive here? You might want to read this. Of course, I'm sure they're going to talk about the requirement of food and water, and of course security. Well, just see what I found here. That's a clay pot from back then, perhaps in an oven. I see 3 of such ovens and a beautiful clay pot. To imagine that this is here from like the last 2000 years is just weird and magnificent at the same time. So that's where there was the discovery location of the lots. I don't know what the lots mean. In any case, you can also see the black line all the way. So yes, this is part of history. The discovery location of the lots. What are the lots? Alright, so essentially the lots are inscribed pottery shards, and it's said that these were done on the last night of the revolt, and this is where all of them were discovered over here. And I have no idea what these stones are here for, but sure they also have some significance. To the Northern Palace. Okay, perhaps I'll go there a little later. Oh my god, look at this cliff all the way down. The desert, the Judean Desert. That's where Christ crossed over, or something like that. I'm not very sure about the story of Bible, but those who are aware would know that this is the Judean Desert. Right. So this way we have the large bathhouse. Okay, so this was a bathhouse, and this is of course very typical of any Roman architecture. You have the bathhouse inside. I don't think we're allowed to go in. Oh, perhaps we can from here. What is this? Okay, that's a model of what the bathhouse looked like, and we are somewhere in the center, and that's the bathhouse out there. I'll go in now. Entering the bathhouse. All of these frescoes from 2000 years back. So a fresco is essentially a painting done when the plaster is still wet. So as the plaster dries up, it takes in the water with it, the paint with it, so that it remains for a long time. Is this where people used to sit down for a scrub or something? No idea, but insane. Oh. Alright, so now we are approaching the palace where the king used to live, and I just went to the bathhouse over there, the discovery of the lots behind that, and now we are headed towards where the king used to live. The palace is built on 3 different levels. On the southern side of the wall, where there used to be less sun, that's what I've heard, so that you can, yeah, you have a model of the palace. Now this happens to be the upper terrace of the palace. This is where the guest rooms are located. We have a model of the same over here. We are in the upper terrace right now. We have 2 more levels to go after this. Just imagine how beautiful this must have been when the king was actually residing over here. Take a look at this landscape. I mean, just imagine being a king and this majestic landscape in front of you. Okay, we are now on our way to the next 2 levels. As you can see out there in the distance, I don't see anyone. That's the only issue. I hope I'm not too late. Okay, I'll just try and get going till there. Imagine building a fortress in the mountains like this. Wild. Oh, wow. The king must have gone down stairs like these to reach the middle terrace. That's where is the middle terrace. We see all of these columns, and they say that there must have been a dome over here as well, which definitely makes sense. Oh, okay, this is the lower terrace. I've reached right till the bottom. This is the best preserved level of the palace. Ah, wow. What a view to have, the king. Just imagine this entire desert and the Dead Sea to yourself. Whew. Amazing, amazing. Now I'll just have to run all the way up because alright, so that was the tour of the Masada Fortress, and now I'll just rush all the way up because I'm getting a little late, and yeah, and then we have to climb all the way down again after this, the entire route that we took. But yeah, climbing down didn't take as long as it took to climb up, of course. But yeah, for now I have some climbing to do, to first go to the upper level and then all the way down. But I just can't get enough of this view, man. It's too beautiful, and the morning sun making everything look much more gorgeous and full of full grandeur than what it would have otherwise looked like. Yep, time to get up. After this we are headed to En-Gedi, which is an oasis. It's kind of visible from here, but not very nicely. So yes, let's get going. Alright, so now we gotta climb down. As you can see, the path behind me, it's not very wise of me to take videos over here, but yeah, we go all the way down. That's where my people are. I have come with them, and yes, it's a long way down. So En-Gedi is somewhere over there. I don't exactly know where, but that's where we would be going next. But yeah, beautiful place. Should definitely come over here. I wish I had some more time at the King's Palace, but perhaps not possible. For some other time. Still climbing down and down and down. Those trees and the truck that you see out there, that's where I have to reach. It's gonna take perhaps another half an hour. But yes, for now it's just downhill, so it's not very difficult. Just that you have to be mindful of the steps. Alright, so we have finally descended and we are here on level land again. And the next stop is going to be En-Gedi, which is essentially, it's a natural park in a way. It's an oasis in the middle of the desert, and yeah, so that's where we are going next, and finally we'll be going to the Dead Sea after that. Into the Judean Desert. Now another thing that you must be wondering is why are there such few people over here, right? And that's simply because of COVID. Otherwise there would have been like herds and herds of people, and I think, you know, we got really lucky that we happened to come here at a time when very few people are actually being allowed into Israel. And yeah, that's the reason why the number of people here is also quite less, and we could see everything very peacefully, and, you know, all the videos could be made without anyone shouting around or, you know, making noise around us. And yeah, so it feels quite special to be here at a time like this where very, very few people are allowed. No tourists actually. It's just that I have a student visa, so I was allowed to come in, and yeah, so I'm making the most of it.